cybersecurity, it's a pretty vast topic, and luckily I have with me Mr. Rizwan Sheikh, who's an ethical hacker, and we also have Mr. Anil Kaushik, who actually does the opposite of what Mr. Sheikh does. So, you know, we're going to try to marry the two of them today to understand the scope of cybersecurity and what is next in cybersecurity. So, Mr. Rizwan Sheikh, I want to begin by asking you, ethical hacking sounds like an oxymoron, right? So if you could just begin by explaining to our guests, how do you define what hacking is ethical and what is unethical?
It's a very tough question typically to define the difference between ethical and unethical hacking. It's always better to call the profile or the name with cybersecurity expert, because India and many other countries have their cyber law defined. Of course, some countries do have the term ethical hacking defined for the good person, but in India, hacker is a hacker, irrespective of whatever you do. So in order to tell you the difference, I would first want to define who a hacker is. I would say hacker is a person who is technically geek-sounded, knows in and out of computer systems, network, etc. Now, he is utilizing this knowledge or skills to hack and damage, destroy, defame, or deface any website. So that's the part of unethical hacking. Now the same thing, for example, we get a project of doing vulnerability assessment, making a website or a network hack-proof. So now in order to make that website or network hack-proof, we get the permission to officially hack it. But after hacking, we are not damaging or destroying it. What we are doing is, we are finding all the vulnerabilities and loopholes on the website and patching it up. So that's the part of ethical hacking.
So on that, I want to understand from you, there was a time when coders would sit and code and engineers would learn these codes over the years. But with the introduction and the speed at which AI is progressing, how does that change the scope of hacking?
Right, so definitely technology keeps on upgrading itself. If you see, earlier time, it was during the launch of internet, the Web 1 space, it was very basic. The most advanced thing was the ICQ messengers. I am pretty sure many people here might have been using MSN Messenger or Yahoo Messenger in the past. Then Web 2 comes into picture, where we see social media sites, we see things like Twitter, we see stuffs like some of the advanced stuff where we are doing WhatsApp video calling, group conference, etc., etc. The future which is already on is Web 3, which is combined of blockchain and AI together. Web 3 is more advanced, decentralized, giving control more to the people, having a decent level of encryption to protect your privacy. But at the same time, as the tech evolves, the vulnerability or the hacking stuff also evolves at the same time. If you see AI, definitely it has many use cases. ChatGPT, one of the best examples we got.
Yes.
But at the same time, we got AI deepfake.
Yes.
If you notice, editing someone's photos, replacing anyone's face with anyone else's body, replacing anyone's audio to speak something else. Like there have been AI deepfakes available. Suppose I have your 15 seconds of audio recording, you're talking something. I can use that audio to speak something else in your tone, in your page. So this is AI deepfake. The same happens with videos as well. Now,
yes.
In cybersecurity, it's a major concern. If you have noticed, cybercrime is ever evolving. Cyber criminals are coming up with new technologies to commit crime, and many people are falling victim of it. There have been incidents reported already all across the world, including India, that someone is receiving a call from their children, from their daughter, from their son in their own voice, asking for money. And parents ended up paying the money. But it was a cyber criminal call. So it's both the ways. AI is going to defend AI. So in cybersecurity, to mitigate this, definitely another AI will be used to do that.
Okay, so I'm going to come to Mr. Kaushik on that. Mr. Kaushik, Rizwan Sheikh has listed out some of the ways in which the whole system of cybercrime is really evolving. How is it that you then advise governments in particularly sensitive sectors like homeland security, like the defense sector, how do you advise them to keep their systems upgraded?
Yeah, thanks. So first of all, I will agree with Rizwan that there's no hacking, ethical or non-ethical, because if you are looking at somebody else's premise, that's a invasion, unauthorized invasion. So cybersecurity is a very challenging subject, but I think that it is reactive in terms of security. So what we need to go in this, through this next conference, that we should be traveling from cybersecurity to cyber defense. So the time is coming when we need to focus more on offensive security measures. So just to make it understandable for everybody, that you have your house, then you have your office, and then you have a road to travel to your office. So your house is your device, which is the endpoint, which is used by yourself. It may be a mobile, it may be a laptop, it may be a tablet. The road is the network from where you travel every day. And your office is like, you know, your server or your virtual storage, maybe in a hybrid location. So the problem can be resolved in terms of your endpoint management. So your device can be managed, your storage can be secured, but the problem is really with the network. The networks
Okay.
are not secured. So the challenges which we are facing today to how to safeguard all these three locations where the most of the attacks are being happening. So my contention is that the cyber defense is a very, very important subject to understand, and it should be, it should be understood by the world in a different sense. Like, you know, we are spending a lot of money on the weaponry, the custom, the traditional weaponry. But now it is the time that the country should start spending more on the cyber defense than the traditional weapons.
Okay.
The army, the frontiers should be capable of actually defending their nation
Yes.
against the cross-border cyber attacks. We are already at war. I mean, it's not that we will be waiting for something big to happen. It is already happening.
Mr. Anil Kaushik, could you quantify that into some examples for our audience to understand? When you say that it's not just about physically defending our borders anymore, but it's about defending our networks and our online systems, because that's essentially where the whole world gets together and meets today. We're not meeting physically necessarily. Can you quantify that? What does that mean? And we also have some ex-servicemen in the audience, so I'm sure they'd like to take that back away from this particular conference.
I'll give you a very simple example. Like, suppose you wake up in the morning and you find that there's no electricity, there's no internet, there's no money in your account. So everything is being, vanished. That's the future war. The war will happen, will be
on the internet.
in the internet only. Suppose, there's some enemy nation which is looking to destroy your economy. What they can do? They can just wipe out your bank accounts. They can wipe out the entire data on the stock market. What will happen? Your economy will be zero. Your credit rating will be zero. There will be no transaction at all after that. Your electricity system can be demolished. So these are the future challenges for the cyber warfare, where I believe that every nation, and a nation like India, should be very ready to defend ourselves. We need to create the cyber warriors, which can be working under the army or maybe the paramilitary forces.
Yes, if you could break that down further, when you say we need to create a cyber war force, what would that entail? What does that look like? And would that include individuals like Mr. Rizwan Sheikh, who, like he said, that ethical hacking is essentially, we would help governments and other machineries to figure out whether their systems can be hacked or not?
Yeah, so I think we need to start an integrated cyber command center where we can join all the three wings of the army, Air Force, Navy, and Army, and we can start, by forming a complete equipped command for cybersecurity defense. That is what the future is. And I think people like Rizwan could be also asset for these kind of forces. I mean, you have to learn how to break the system, then you can protect it. So the thing is start from the breaking the system, learning the break, and then you can protect it.
So Rizwan, I've already converted him into a supporter of ethical hacking within the scope of 6 to 7 minutes, but I want to understand from your point of view as well. What would your advice be to governments and to particularly our defense machineries on how to go about the cyber war that looms large?
One thing is wonderfully said, that definitely there is a big need to form something related to cyber defense. Now to distribute it down, I would rather categorize it into multiple attacks. For example, if you notice, there were some big unethical hacking groups working. To name it, there are some religious group, there are groups related to disputed nations, some neighboring nations. So these hacking groups already starts attacking our websites. For example, there have been hacks on some of the educational institutions' website. There have been attacks on some of the famous hospitals. There have been ransomware attacks, locking systems of various, I would say, hotel and hospitality industries. So already these attacks are on. There have been attack on the power grid, which is not being officially, like, it's kind of an allegation. It's not like completely defined, but definitely it was a cyber attack.
Right.
So when we talk about India, India is definitely very advanced and have been taking very, very proactive steps. Already things which we are discussing have been taken into force and certain actions are being implemented. There have been state-wise distribution, especially when I talk about Maharashtra Cyber, one of the biggest cyber forensic lab has been formed. There have been offensive wing being set up inside the state police department. It's being same replicated by majority of the states all across India.
Okay.
And definitely central government is taking some of the decent actions. The best part is India definitely got the best technical brains in the world. And this is the biggest advantage. We are not short of manpower.
Yes.
And highly skilled manpower. So this is the biggest advantage for us. And
the most important part would be if we can keep that skilled and highly technical workforce within India. But on that note, I'm going to thank both of our panelists for joining us.